Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, and welcome back to Modern Musings. I'm your hostess, Cindy Murray, and I am here with my two co-hosts, Amber Jones and Kristen Blakely.
Hi.
Hey.
So today's episode is focused around a radio snippet that I heard a while back. It was back like almost a year ago at this point. And it was Mel Robbins talking to James Doty about mind magic and the science behind manifestation and why manifesting is not woo-woo. And we've had a lot of talk about manifesting on this show in the past. In fact, I think we've actually done some episodes about manifesting. But I thought this was you think? Yeah, I know, right?
Yes.
But I thought this was an interesting way to approach it because it approaches it from a neuroscientific direction. And I've had a lot of people who've said, well, I don't believe in all that woo-woo manifesting, law of attraction BS, because it's not real. And this guy is, James Doty is a world-class neurosurgeon and neuroscientist at Stanford University. He's the former chairman of the Dalai Lama Foundation, and he is known all over the world for his teachings on manifestation and neuroscience. So I wanted to, as I said, I heard this little snippet of this interview that he did with Mel Robbins. And if you have not ever listened to any Mel Robbins, she's a great podcaster, and she has a lot of really cool stuff out there, kind of self-help stuff that we like. And I will link this actual interview on, heard it on the podcast. But I kind of wanted to talk about what was intriguing to me about this, which was why manifesting isn't just woo-woo. So, because I hear that a lot, and like I said, and his interview here is he explains why it's actually scientific and how your brain works, and I think that is fascinating. So, do either of you know anything about how I know Amber just finished her degree, so I know she knows some stuff about how the brain
Amber.
works,
Yes, of course.
I'd like to kind of involve you in this
Okay.
talk because I know that you probably have some input that goes with this. So,
Yes.
And he starts out by talking about how we believe all the negative self-talk that goes on in our head, right? We all have this, every human being naturally has this on repeat, this negative self-talk that goes on
it's actually
constantly.
considered like a low-key addiction,
Yes.
the negative self-talk.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And we actually have what he calls a negativity bias. You may have heard that too.
Yes.
Because we are inherently wired to it's human nature to have this negativity. And what happens, like you were talking about this addiction to it, is that we have a negative thought. Well, then we tend to ruminate over it, right?
Yeah.
And so he's talking about how this becomes this pattern as you think about this thing, like maybe somebody told you your butt's fat, right? And so then you start thinking about that. God, I have a big butt. Do I really have a big butt? And you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're constantly thinking about this. Is my butt too big? My butt is too big. My butt is too big. Nobody likes me because my butt is too big or whatever. And once you tell yourself, or maybe somebody, let me use a better example. Maybe somebody told you that your handwriting is ugly. Okay. And you start thinking about that, and you think about it, and you think about it, and you think about it. And eventually you tell yourself, well, I just can't. I can't write well. I don't write well. And I can't. I will never write well. Then that becomes your truth. It's hardwired into your brain. And when that gets hardwired into your brain, you create a limited belief system based around that. So then everything you do is informed by that belief that your handwriting is bad.
Yeah.
So you can never do creative writing, or you can never do things, whatever, that have to do with nice handwriting, because your handwriting is so bad, because you believe it's so bad because this person told you your handwriting was bad, and you believe it. So the answer to that is to turn that around, right? And we've all heard this, but that every time you hear yourself saying something bad to yourself, to turn it into something positive. Turn it around, say something positive, reframe whatever it is. Maybe instead of saying my handwriting is bad, maybe say, I'm learning to write better. My handwriting can improve if I practice. Or maybe even say that person doesn't know what they're talking about. My handwriting is just fine.
Yeah.
Seriously,
You can't read.
because because you also have to think, when you are interacting with other people, you also have to take into consideration that we all interact with each other through a lens of the baggage that we carry.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Where's the source, and what's the intention of the source? So if
Right.
it was your third grade teacher telling you that
You needed more work on your handwriting.
-5, handwriting too messy, it's because she was having a hard time reading, and she's trying to get
She's
you to
trying
do
to
better.
help you, right?
Yeah.
But if it's just somebody being rude, or somebody who had a bad day,
Right.
maybe they have a
Consider the
headache.
source. Yeah.
And maybe they had a headache and they're having a hard time reading anything, and they just like snark off at you, your handwriting's so bad, that's why I can't read it. And then you take that to heart, So you have to take those things. And then the other thing is you can't respond to those negative thoughts, right? So he's talking about some different things to do to get you to not like dwell in that negative stuff. So and that's, he's talking about manifesting things, because when you are manifesting, it's not just about manifesting good things. If you are constantly dredging up all that negative self-talk, guess what you're manifesting?
Negative self-talk.
More negative self-talk.
More negative things.
More negative things. And he talks about a lot of things like this. So like how the human body, the human heart, actually gives off electromagnetic waves. Your body literally gives off bad vibes when you're in a negative mindset, right? So your heart has bioelectrical energy that comes off of it that extends 3 to 5 feet away from your body. This is a neuroscientist talking about this, right? So when people talk about having bad vibes, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And he was talking about he was talking to Mel Robbins, and one of the things that Mel Robbins said to him was, when you walked in the room, you made me feel good. And he used that as a point of reference, that if you come in with a positive attitude, and we've talked about that on the podcast before too, about people who have negative attitudes and stuff. We've all met someone who within 5 minutes of meeting them, we're like, I don't like that person.
Oh, yeah. That very easily.
And
sometimes.
that is why, because
very
they're
like,
giving off
the
those
vibe.
vibes, right?
Mhm.
And I know we've used that word, giving off vibes, very loosely since like the 60s, but it literally
it's their
is.
their vibe, their energy that they project out into the world. Some people project all the time positive, and we've even done a podcast about this, the energies around us.
Right. And this is so he's talking about that actual bioelectric energy, So and so I thought that was really, really interesting. And so he talks about this life-changing thing that happened to him. And I'm not going to go into all the story of why it happened, but he met someone when he was younger who he had a very traumatic childhood or whatever, and he met someone who actually kind of helped him reframe his life and look at things a different way. And his big idea is that when you change how you look at the world, then it changes the way the world looks at you. And so that's the kind of the source of the manifestation thing, is changing the way we look at the world. So she taught him how to be more mindful about things, and she made him make this list of things that he wanted. And he made this whole list about things, and the things that he wanted as a 12-year-old child were things like, I want a Ferrari, and I want to be a doctor, and I want to have $1 million, which was a lot of money back then. I mean, it still is to a lot of people, but what he's talking about was all these material things. And the reason, as he grew older and things, he realized that the reason that he wanted those material things, and a lot of us, when we ask to manifest things, what we're asking to manifest are those material things, right? I mean, what's on your list, Amber?
To manifest materially, or just in general?
In general. What are your things you want to manifest?
Well, gosh, I manifested it already. I'm just kidding.
I know, she graduated.
Golly, now I'm going for my LPC associates.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to manifest that. I want to manifest a good grade on the national counseling exam.
Okay.
I want to find a good LPC to work under.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a great school year as an official school counselor. I want to continue doing great in my marriage. I want to find a better neighborhood to live in.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason and I have kind of been talking about adoption.
Okay. I'm going to let Kristen, why don't you talk about yours? What's on your manifestation list?
Man, this is funny because I was actually doing one of the prompts on Finch. I know we had talked about that app a little while ago. It's like a little self-care app. And Finch had a prompt to picture yourself 1 year from now and then hold that thought for a minute. And I was having a really hard time with that. And I think that one of the reasons why is I have like this, not like hopelessness, but reserved hope. Like I'm reserving my hope.
There's some fear there.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily fear. It's like I don't want to let myself get like disappointed. So I didn't want to, or wasn't compelled to imagine the way I used to manifest, which was like, oh, a year from now I'm going to have like, a mansion, and my 401k is going to triple. Because some people, manifest that.
Okay, so that's where I want to stop you right there. So those are the things that he was talking about, those kind of material wealth things, right? Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
For me, like I was sitting there thinking about it because I was like, how do I picture myself 1 year from now? Because, for me, like that one wasted minute, it seemed like a wasted minute to imagine, like, well, yeah, wouldn't that be great? But is that really where I see myself in a year? Because the way that question asked, I'm such a literal person that I was like, well, where do I see myself in a year? And then I was like, crap, I don't know where I see myself in a year.
I have that problem all the
because
time.
I've been just like trying to get day by day,
Right.
and I haven't even stopped to take a breath and think about like where I see myself in a year. By golly, I have some goals and hopes, to be 100% debt free and to have, a nice little cushion, you know, for like kind of Amber was saying, thinking about adoption, like I'm not even like thinking about that anymore right now, like family expansion package 2.0, I'm not really thinking about that. So when I thought about like where do I see myself in a year, I'm like I've been just living day by day for like the past 2 years, so maybe even longer than that now that I think about it.
So
well, I think that I was doing the same thing when I was going through grad school.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
well, first I was going through a divorce, and then I was getting married, and then I'm like, I got to get through the wedding, and then I've got to get through grad school. And now that I'm through grad school, I'm at like a crossroad in life. It's either it's like I could go and we could go through like the adoption process, or I can go back to school
do I feel like
get
this
my
is
doctorate.
the game of life, and you have this crossroads you have to choose which
go to college
one?
or start a job.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
it's like it's kind of like, well, what do I do now? Well, yeah, I'm going to go for my LPC, and that's going to take a few years, but I can get that while I'm working,
right.
And I'm already working, so and it's like, well, what do I do now? Do I go and because I do want to adopt a child. That's not like it's just now kind of getting on my radar because I have free time, and I'm like, I could either do that or I could just go and like amp up my free time again and just go ahead and get my doctorate.
She's thinking about it.
I'm gonna blame Stacy on this one because
somebody else mentioned it too.
Yeah,
didn't they?
several people have mentioned it. Are you gonna go get your doctorate now?
Yeah. Well, so the reason that I'm asking you about those things, and the reason I pointed out the materialistic versions of those, because I have the same things. I want to clean out my garage. I want to buy a new car. I want to do, I want to travel things. So, what he's talking about, is that a lot of times those are the things that we want to manifest. Those are the things we put on our list to manifest, and we're talking about that law of attraction thing. And we put these things on our list and we cross our fingers or make the little mudra that, whatever the hand mudras, and stuff. And we hope that it's going to work. Right. And those things usually don't. Sometimes they do, but they usually don't. And then we blame ourselves, because it's our fault. We just didn't think positively enough, right? But he talks about the only reason that we chase those kind of things is out of unhappiness and fear, right? So we're trying to do those things to make ourselves feel more secure, right? Because if I have all this money, then everything will be right in the world, right? Once I cross that threshold, then I will like myself, right? Right? But it really doesn't, because what happens when you're chasing those kinds of things to manifest, you're actually activating your sympathetic nervous system, which is part of your autonomic nervous system that puts you into fight, flight, freeze, right? So it keeps us in that cortisol high or whatever, right? So it has like all these negative effects on us. So when we're always pursuing these physical or material gains, we are doing so much harm to our body. And again, it comes back to that thing. It affects your whole body, not just your mental state, but it affects your whole body. It puts your heart at risk. Your heart starts giving off the bad vibes, all those things. And it gives you, they've already proven over and over and over again that it causes you to have diseases. It causes you to have a lower life expectancy, right? But and he talks about this thing called fear mode. That's what that is. When you're chasing all of these things that will make you feel better, right? Versus what he calls love mode. And the love mode is actually the state. He talks about this. This is the mental state that our physical bodies are supposed to naturally live in. And that is the parasympathetic nervous system.
Oh.
Did you learn anything about that, Amber? The sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system?
No, nothing like that specifically. in
Okay.
there.
So it's a neurological thing. I mean, this is, like I said, this guy's a neuroscientist. He's a pretty brainy guy. And he's talking about these two different nervous system modes, I guess. So when you are at peace, when you are happy or calm, when you have caring and feeling for other people, you are in what he the parasympathetic nervous system. You're operating under those conditions, and you are in what he calls the love mode. And that causes you, when you care about people, it causes your body to release oxytocin, and your body is calm, and you give off those good vibes, right?
Yes.
And when you are in this,
Hypervigilant.
when you're in that hypervigilance or whatever, then you become, tense, stressed. Your body, wreaks havoc on your body and all those things. And it's all about want versus need, okay? So when you quit trying to manifest the things you want, because those are the things that are often materialistic, or they are designed to make you feel secure. You think they're going to make you feel
because you
secure.
don't have those things.
Right.
You also have a lack.
That black mentality,
Yeah.
right? Okay. But if you focus on the things you need, I need a roof over my head. I need good food to eat. I need love and kindness in my life, right? When you do that, then you are in that right part of your brain, the best part of your brain for manifesting the things that you want and you need, right? And he talks about the scientific parts of it and how you embed intentions into your subconscious constantly, right? And most of us are embedding things into our subconscious negatively, because our brains we are taking in 6 to 10 million bits of information every second.
Wow.
wow,
6 to
yeah.
10 million bits of information from all of your senses, right? And from everything, your touch, your hearing. Now your brain can really only consciously process about 50 to 100 of those items, right? At a time. And on a really conscious level.
Right.
99.9% of the things just go on autonomically.
That's where you get. I saw that somewhere. I swear I saw that.
Right,
Yes.
because it's not conscious, right?
Yeah.
And you feel cold, or your stomach is gurgling because you're
But
digesting.
it's not painful. You just
Right.
feel it. Yeah.
But it's also things like, your body breathing.
yeah.
You breathe. You don't think about that, right? So there's all these things that are going on. So you can only control about 50 to 100 things. And then what happens is that we are still processing all these negative things because, like I said, we are tuned to look for that negative. And the reason that we are tuned to that negative thing is because as a protection thing, right? We were put on guard, like you were talking about. When you were hyper vigilant, when we were newly evolved people, we had to be hyper vigilant against predators or poisonous foods or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is that you become hyper vigilant, and then once you, and then you,
focused on the basic necessities,
Right.
food, shelter,
right.
companionship.
But then once you have covered those things, you can relax. And we are also
right.
built in tribal modes. So that's the other thing, that we are supposed to be helping each other with that. So not all of us have to be hyper vigilant all the time. That's why we were tribal society. But we're becoming less tribal, right? We are actually becoming more individualistic, isolating ourselves
Everyone's
at home,
sitting in their own rooms doing
Right.
different things. Yeah.
So it's affecting us differently. So and so we're in that way, we stay hyper vigilant. I know people, we all know people who stay in that fight, flight, freeze mode all the time. Every little thing sets them off,
Yeah.
right? It affects their anxiety. It makes them afraid to leave their home. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything.
I have my moments where
Right.
I'm in that. Like, especially in the summertime, I get like what I told my therapist, the summertime saddies.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people do.
Because I have all that time off and I'm not around people all the time.
Mhm.
And for 2 weeks, I'm like so happy, like, yay, alone time by myself, lay in
And then it grows
bed.
old really
And
fast.
Then, yeah, and then I'm like, and COVID really hit me pretty hard because I realized that I was a social person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even written lots of poetry about being sad and alone in the summer because, you think, oh, you're a teacher, you get off summers or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but I get bored after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So anyway, so we're in this mode, right? And so we're already constantly writing this negative thoughts to our brains, right? Constantly. So if you're always writing negative thoughts to your brain, you can't manifest good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is learn to rewrite those messages in your brain. Everybody talks about this, but I love the way he talks about it because he talks about it from that neurological standpoint. So this is his explanation of how this happens, and this is why the next time any person tells me that that's just woo-woo, I'm going to point them exactly to this podcast or to his book, because he explains it so well, and it makes sense that this is why it works. So when you form a habit like negative talk or whatever, it creates neural pathways in your brain. This is a physical, proven,
yes, you can see
tested truth, right?
Things firing off in your brain.
In your brain, right. And repetition lays down the circuitry that becomes embedded. So if you make a habit,
the pathway gets shorter, doesn't it?
I think so.
Over time, instead of it
And more-
circumnavigating and connecting,
it can go directly straight to it.
Yeah.
And so then every time you see that dress,
That's
it tells
where
you you're
things
fat.
trigger PTSD and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So the way to get out of that is to do the exact same thing, but you're going to do it in a positive way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's how you manifest anything, positive, negative, or whatever. So you have an intention.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna hear some familiar things here because we've talked about these in Tiny Habits and atomic habits. And
Yeah.
um,
It all goes
they-
full
Are we
circle.
habit stacking our negative self-talk?
Are
so
we?
okay, so you set an intention. We've already
Okay.
talked about that,
Yeah,
right?
okay,
Like
all
I'm going to
right.
get my bachelor's degree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So you write it down.
Okay.
You,
This does sound a lot like Tiny Habits.
I told you. Yeah. It also sounds like what's the guy who does the savers, the morning savers?
Oh gosh.
I always forget his name.
He had Hal
Elrod.
Elrod, yeah.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know. I always think his
What's
name
the name
sounds
of
like a
his
elf.
thing?
Miracle Morning.
Miracle Mornings.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's,
So because there's stuff here too. Okay. So we've talked about all these. We'll link those on the Heard It on the podcast. So you have an intention.
Okay.
You write it down.
Wrote it.
Okay. So you've thought it.
Okay.
You've written it. You've used at least one of your senses.
Eyes, my hands.
Your hands. Yep.
And this pen has scent.
Oh.
It smells like grape.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
funny.
I know
That's
that
cute.
was so off the
That's-
wall. But I literally I can,
So
it smells
okay.
like a peanut
So
butter
now
jelly.
read it silently to yourself. So you're using your eyes also.
Mhm.
Then you read it out loud.
I'm going to get my bachelor's degree.
There you're hearing
Oh,
it.
I heard it too.
You heard it,
You
right?
heard it too.
And then you close your eyes and Mel Robbins, so I was listening to this. She talked about when he was explaining it, he sat back, he folded his hands, he closed his eyes, and he visualized what it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then you're visualizing it more. We're talking Hal Elrod, all these things, right? And you do that same thing over and over and over again. It's a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've built that habit, then the repetition lays down the circuitry and that becomes embedded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you're doing this is that it embeds that into your subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now if you keep doing this long enough, just like any other habit, it
Yeah.
becomes embedded. You have a almost muscle memory
Mm-hmm.
for it, right? It activates different parts of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the default mode network that's where you are when your brain is your mind
All
wanders, you're daydreaming,
Yeah.
you're just kind of
Default mode.
that's what it's called, the default mode network.
Like when you're in the shower and the toilet and washing dishes, a lot of time.
Right,
your
you
brain's
just
in
kind of
default
go
mode.
off into la la land. Yeah. And that is where you create the narrative of who you are and what
Oh my
you
gosh,
want.
that's where the most negative self-talk happens too. Can
Always.
you believe that?
Yes.
Those three places are
The
like
car,
one
the
of the
toilet,
reasons I
and the
hate-
shower.
I hated washing dishes.
My note right here
Or
says
yeah, and
all
washing dishes.
of the negative self-talk is in that mode.
Oh,
All of the negative
interesting.
self-talk is in that part of your
Because
I get
Mode.
what
a
is that?
lot
Idle
of
hands or the
intrusive
devil
thoughts
playground?
when I'm driving. Like I either get my most creative thoughts or my most intrusive thoughts while I'm driving.
and this is why it's hard to believe the good stuff, because we default to that mode when we are relaxed or daydreaming or whatever, right? Or your mind
because
is
your
wandering.
brain is
Right? Okay.
it's not you. It's just a machine
That's where
that's running.
your
Yeah.
brain just clicks over to that default. Okay. So there is also a thing called salience, which is when you make something important. Okay. So your brain knows how to make things salient, right? And when you make something salient in your brain, it activates the task positive network. So these are different neurons, right, that are working. And there's three parts of that. There's the salience network. That's where your brain recognizes that this is something important. When you put something there, your brain says, this is important, right?
Okay.
So that's the stuff like, I need to take my meds or whatever, right?
Yeah, or pay a bill or whatever.
Once
Okay.
something gets into your salience network, then it can go to the attention network. The attention network is where your brain starts to put attention on that thing, right? So it calls it to
So
mind.
it's not the important things that you forget, like a doctor's appointment that you wrote down 3 months ago and you forgot it because it wasn't attention.
It
yet.
didn't get to the attention network. But if you remembered it, then it probably did, right?
Well, yeah, if I woke up every day and said, I'm going to go to the dentist.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are things like you're taking your medication. Let's go
Yeah.
back to that.
I know that one's a
that
far
one's-
stretched one, but yeah.
When you
I
first
forget that a lot, too.
start taking your medication, you forget.
Yeah.
But if you make it important enough, it goes into that salience network.
where you're like,
And then
I
then
can't
it
go without
eventually
taking
goes
it.
into your attention network. And then eventually after that, it goes into the executive control network.
Mm.
Okay. And that's where the brain says,
Is
we're
that
gonna
the
take care of
frontal
this.
temporal lobe stuff?
I
Isn't that part of your executive function?
possibly, I think it is. I think you're right. He didn't say that specifically. But that's how you set these. So that's what's happening when you set these more positive things, is that you're getting them into those other networks and making them make those new neural pathways.
Because when you make the habit of saying it every day, then it must be important.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And you begin to believe it. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, where after Mark died, like within a week of when he died, I had kind of quit saying my affirmations for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to say them when you're grieving.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I felt really bad. I mean, I didn't believe in myself at all. I was a wreck,
Yeah.
But I knew that I needed to go back to saying my affirmations, because if I didn't, I was going to spiral down into a very bad place. And so I put my affirmations back in my morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so every morning I would sit down, and I did not believe my affirmations, right? I did not believe them. And I'm trying to remember what they were, because I haven't said them in a while. But it was stuff like, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm talented, I'm loving, I'm kind, things like that, right? And when I did that, I didn't believe it, but I kept saying it until eventually I did believe it. And then I
Yeah.
believed that I was enough,
Yeah.
that I was worthy. But it just
Yeah.
took a little while of saying that.
But
Okay,
like
what are
Whenever
y'all
She ramped up. She was like, "Yeah."
what are y'all comparing over there? Because y'all are laughing at
she
each
just
other.
sent me a picture. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, for real. Like I'm really getting what you're saying. Like you have to do that.
You
Like,
do. Whether you believe those words or not, you say, it reminds me of the Help, the movie The Help, or the book
Uh-huh.
The Help,
Yeah.
and how she said that affirmation to that little girl over and over and over again. That little girl probably didn't remember it, but maybe she said it enough times that something from that stuck in that little girl's head, right?
Oh well, sure. Like
Right.
things pop up from our childhood all the time. Like,
and you remember
Yeah.
that somebody said something to you, right?
Yeah.
And so that he's talking about that, using that to change that negative self-talk, because and he talks about that negative self-talk will never 100% go away, because it's part of our vigilance and our self-protection mode, right? But what you do is that when you hear that negative self-talk, you have to understand what it is. You don't have to do anything with it, but you do have to have compassion for yourself, and then you make some sort of positive self-talk that reminds you that you're worthy, or you're good enough, or you deserve whatever. And he talks about how you have to be aware of where the negative self-talk comes from. And he encourages talking it over with a therapist, or doing some self journaling or whatever, every time you have something negative self talk that comes up, that you actually go and figure out, where did that come from? Why do I tell myself that? Why do I say that? And that helps you to see it for what it is. What in my childhood made me believe this about myself, right? And then
Yeah.
when you see it for what it is, then you recognize that it's just a story that you're telling yourself, just like, reading Bambi or whatever. It's nothing more than that. And you separate yourself from it. And then the technique is to write a new story around that. Does that make sense? So, like, a lot of times people call it reframing, but they don't tell you how to reframe. And this is the guide, the roadmap to how to reframe it. You figure out where it came from.
It's very similar to reality therapy, and it's very similar to play therapy, like your narrative therapy. I mean, it's very similar to narrative therapy because you are reforming this narrative in your mind.
And the important thing is that you have to find out where it came from and why you do it first. Because that tells you how to rewrite it, what you need to do to rewrite it.
See, I remember talking to my therapist, and she was like, what are some of the negative things you tell yourself? And I was like, I don't really think they come out in words. Like, I'm so dumb. Like, I don't think I say things like that. I'm sure I do, but I don't ever, like, hear words. But what I do notice, because she was like, you have to look for it covert in different ways, because I was trying to listen to my head, but it wasn't my head. It's something else that I'm getting that negative self-talk. And one of the things that I noticed was when I looked at myself in the mirror, I snarled my nose at myself. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. I just realized that I looked at someone and I gave them a dirty look.
Yeah.
Or they gave me a dirty look.
And would you ever do that to somebody else?
And I just looked at one spot on my body and went, ugh.
Right.
And then I realized, that's negative self-talk. I'm
is.
just grunting
whether you said a word or not, it's negative self-talk.
Exactly.
And same thing, like, he talks about, too, the reality is that a lot of people go through this life without people telling them that they're loved. And that a lot of times they don't feel loved because nobody tells them that they are loved.
Yeah.
And so that's like a big part of negative self-talk. Nobody loves me.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves me. Nobody is here for me.
Yeah.
You know, those are big bad negative self-talks. So that's what we're talking about there. And then, so when you know where that came from, if you know why you think nobody loves you, and you pick apart all those things that happened to you, that made you believe that nobody loved you, then you can rewrite that and say, this is really, the truth of it is that people do love me. These are the people that love me. And you can rewrite that thing. I am loved. I am enough. I am loving. And so that goes back into that thing. That's what we're all looking for there, is when you get down to the root of those wants versus needs, the materialistic things versus the love mode. What did he call it? Love mode? Was that what he called it? I can't even remember what he called it. Yeah, love mode. When you, the difference between the wants and the needs, or the love mode versus the fear mode, the things that we are geared up for are the things what we really, really want is the love. We want to be accepted. We want to be seen. We want to be heard, right? And so that's where you have to change your perspective and looking at the world. You have to change your inner dialogue, and you use the scientific way of doing it by changing those neural pathways. One of the other things that he talks about too is that our world is really just a delusion. When it's whether what we see is good or we see is bad, it's not real. It's what our brain makes out of it.
Right, because there's not some like little ticker over our heads, like putting things like ones and a zeros, good or bad or whatever.
Well, and we don't see things the way they really are. We see everything
from
through the
only
lens,
our lens,
from the lens of what has happened to us. And so, in order to get to a more neutral place, that's where the mindfulness stuff comes into play. And so what he talks about is finding a calm place where you can sit and do the steps that he does to meditate and get yourself back into that, what he calls love mode, right? So, which is your parasympathetic nervous system, right?
Yes.
And that's where meditation, the breathing, all of those things come into play. And those things calm your brain and they calm your parasympathetic nervous system so that you're relaxed and you're more capable of rewriting those things. And this goes back to same thing with that James Elrod.
Hal Elrod.
Elrod.
James Clear is the author of...
Yeah, I keep mixing them up together.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, he has those steps, and some of them is the silence, all the steps.
The savor steps, yeah.
Yes, the savor steps. So it's, what is it?
Affirmation. So it's silence, affirmations. V is visualize.
Yeah.
E is exercise.
Uh-huh.
R is read, and S is scribe, which is journal.
Right. So these are all things that this guy is talking about right here. The only thing he hasn't mentioned is the reading. And the reading is like learning. So that's
it's not romance novels.
Right.
Which, I mean, if you need to pick up a book, just any book is good. We're not going to judge, but James.
But he's talking about expanding your brain.
Yeah.
James Clear and
Hal is saying to spend 10 minutes on personal development reading.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So all of these things are great. And so what he's talking about, what James Doty is talking about, find a calm place where you can sit in the quiet. He prefers no caffeine. I like to sit with my coffee because that relaxes me, but I get it because your coffee actually makes it harder to get into that parasympathetic because it keeps you in the cortisol and stuff.
It actually can trigger anxiety.
Right. And then he says, do a breathing exercise. And one of the breathing exercises that he mentioned was one we've called box breathing or strategic breathing.
Okay.
That's what the Navy SEALs call it. They call it strategic breathing. A lot of people call it box breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. And you keep doing that for a minute or two. It doesn't even take very long to do it. It's very easy to do. But what it does is it calms your nervous system and it puts you into that readiness.
Self-regulating
It
method,
is.
Yes.
It is. It really is. And that's what the reason that they do, like the Navy SEALs do it, because it puts them, when they're getting ready to go, swim up to the shore and go do a mission or something, they are very tense thinking about this thing. So they stop and they do this, and it puts them in that mindset to go do their job without messing it up because of anxiety. So anyway, he says, go do this. And then you work on loving yourself, accepting yourself for who you are, and remind yourself that the bad things that have happened to you are not your fault. Because we often blame ourselves.
They happen to you. Yeah.
Because they happen to us. Well, I should have done, like rape victims often replay things about, if I hadn't put myself in that situation, if I hadn't worn that dress, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't smiled at that guy or whatever, and it's not your fault. Same thing with, abuse victims. You didn't do anything to cause that. That would have happened no matter who you were or what you did. And then remind yourself that you're okay now, because we often forget that we are okay now, right? And you want to do this while you're, during your little thing there. And that's where he talks a lot about gratitude too, because gratitude mindset helps you remember that there's more to life than the bad things that are going on in it right now, and then think about the things that you truly, truly want, which are security, shelter, food, and what are you doing to create that? Those are the things that you should be manifesting or trying to manifest, right? So you want to think about those things, because when you start thinking about those things and you try to manifest those things, the other stuff will just come with it.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people say don't try to manifest like the big stuff, like, because some people say go hard or go home, right? If you're going to manifest money, manifest $1 million or whatever. But the other camp is saying be grateful for what you have. Like, I'm so grateful for this delicious lunch of ramen or whatever. Yeah, it's not that great. But when you say like, oh, this sucks, you're just agreeing with it sucking and not being that great. But when you are grateful for having what you have, then you become less resentful towards the things you don't have.
It takes away that negativity, that negative mindset.
That's what's that thief of joy or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And and he talks about manifestation. Things don't always manifest. You might not get that Porsche, but maybe that Porsche wasn't meant for you. There may be something, maybe you're in your brain working everything to have that Porsche, but deep down inside, your brain is saying, you don't need that Porsche.
Like if a Porsche fell in my lap, I'd be in so much trouble.
No kidding.
I can't afford the car insurance on it. I'd probably get a speeding ticket.
Right. It would wreck or something would happen to it.
It would be really expensive to get it fixed.
And you don't have where to park it.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Right.
It's somebody would steal it or something, So he's talking about this. So when you're trying to manifest things, think about those things that not everything gets manifested. And it's not because you did anything wrong or you didn't wish hard enough or whatever, right? It's not about that. And sometimes things don't happen the way you imagine that they will happen. So maybe you're thinking to manifest getting your bachelor's degree. Don't be attached to the outcome.
The exact outcome, yeah.
Yes, because it might happen in a different way. And if you only are focused on it happening a certain way, you may be blocking other ways for it to happen. Yeah. You're not open to those things. And he also says, be patient, do the work, do the exercises, right? Because that's how it's going to happen. And your brain can't tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. So if you can imagine it hard enough, vividly enough, your brain will believe it. So if you sit and imagine that you are a person who loves yourself and who believes that you are strong, smart, beautiful, confident, your brain will believe those things because it can't tell the difference.
And so, it'll stop thinking the other
well,
things
it won't stop it because you can't, because he says you won't ever automatically 100% make those things go away. Okay. But what happens is that when those thoughts come up,
they're not true.
They're not true. They're not true.
And that's something too, is that we have a hard time living in something that's not true. That's why we have that whole like imposter syndrome thing.
Right.
When we feel like
We
we
are not
really
worthy.
aren't someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like can't live in that mode.
Right. So he talks about in the thing, like, focus on the feeling of success when you're visualizing it. Like I said, visualize it as vividly as you can, but part of that visualization is to focus on that feeling of success. What will it feel like when I am successful at manifesting whatever it is? Right?
All the senses. What would it smell like? What does it? Yeah.
Yes.
What would my body feel like?
Yes.
Well, I think if I manifested or was XYZ, then like getting my bachelor's degree, I would feel accomplishment, pride, a weight lifted off my shoulder, right?
Mhm.
Because there's feelings of, because I didn't get it, there's guilt and, those other negative feelings like,
Right.
can't believe like I
I
squandered
failed myself
away.
again.
Yeah, those kind of things, right? So even that has a feeling. And like, Amber, your face, when I watched you graduate, you were like so lit up on your face,
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
that feeling when you graduated and you were like, I'm walking across the stage. You were giddy.
Like that whole, and
I'm sure that whole day was a blur, like your
it
wedding was, right?
It was a blur, yes.
Yeah.
And I remember like my wedding just being one of the best days, like
Mhm.
everything falling into place, and the same with anytime I've graduated from college or even high school, it was always a blur. Like I
Yeah,
didn't
I don't even remember.
hear
I
anything.
really literally,
Like I just like when I walked across the stage, I'm like, because I was wearing platforms. I was like, don't fall. 'Cause I think I'd like worn platforms twice since I broke my foot, and I stopped wearing platforms because I was wearing them when I broke my foot. And so, but I had like no, I didn't have that.
maybe
long
you had a
dress on.
negative thought where you told yourself you couldn't wear them because you broke your foot.
That's so true. That's probably
That's
probably
a
the
negative
case.
self-talk right
But
there.
yeah, like I bought these like Croc platform shoes,
Oh, I love Crocs.
and they're like Croc dress shoes,
I love Crocs.
and I wore them to graduation, and they were so
And they did not look
comfortable.
like Crocs.
They didn't look
And
like
that's
Crocs.
the crazy
They were
thing.
sparkly.
I have a
They
lot. I have
looked
all
like
kinds
dress
of
shoes.
Crocs, and they don't. Only my regular clogs look like Crocs.
Well,
right?
my coworker got me into Croc dress shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all like, don't wear Crocs to work, but it's kind of like
Is
it's
that
like
your
now they-
subversive way of wearing Crocs? They won't
But
know it's a
now they
Crocs.
make like Crocs that don't look like Crocs.
Right, I know.
And I'm just like, how did we get to talking about Crocs?
Okay.
I know,
Anyways,
I was-
so
Okay,
I
so
was
go
like,
back, go
okay,
back.
so
Okay.
Amber, your face was like, hee, right?
Yes, right.
And so when I imagine myself, maybe not in 1 year, but I could take that specificness out of that meditative thing
Mhm.
that my thing told me to do. I could say, what would that feel like walking across the stage? I could imagine it. I could smell
You
an
can feel your
auditorium.
heart swelling, can't you?
Yeah, that nervousness in your stomach when it's almost your time and they're about to call your name, because you felt that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, like I could conjure that up in myself because I
Yep.
felt that way before walking across a stage for something else,
Mhm.
So it is easy to picture it in that sense,
Mhm.
thinking of the senses. And I can imagine wearing that polyester cap and gown.
Right.
I've worn a cap and gown on my
Yeah.
head. I can feel the square.
Yeah.
I can feel the tassel touching my face and swinging back and forth. I could easily.
You
Because
can
that's
imagine,
how my
you can
brain
imagine
works.
your family standing in the audience screaming your name, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can imagine those
Although we were
things,
kind of late on Amber because we were busy taking pictures, and then it was like,
I
oh,
know.
ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that. And that's the part that is easy to
Mhm.
picture.
Right.
It's just the part that I was struggling with was believing that it's actually possible.
Right.
Because everything I thought of was, oh, I wish I could lose weight, right? Or, oh, that's probably never going to happen because I haven't done it yet. That's that negative self-talk.
I haven't done it yet.
Wasn't even me specifically thinking that. It was like, don't think about that because it's untrue. That's the negative self-talk. My mind told myself not to think about what I truly desired because that's how my brain worked, I guess.
And I will say, one of his things is talking about too, you can't just focus on what you want, like I want my bachelor's degree. You have to tie it to something in order to manifest it. You have to tie it to something that connects you to people or that is of some weight or importance, right? So like he was talking about the car, getting a car is just a status symbol. The only reason you want that is to be seen and to be noticed. So getting your bachelor's degree, the why of getting your bachelor's degree is as important in that whole thing as getting the bachelor's degree. Why do you want
me being a teacher in a classroom with
and
the
helping
kids.
students and inspiring them?
That is more powerful than imagining myself holding the diploma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The weight issue. Rather than focusing on the pounds dropping off, think about the healthiness. Your body is going to be healthier so that you can continue to provide a loving home for your family and or your children or whatever. That makes a huge difference, that when you get that why in there, that changes it. I want to talk about a last couple of other things that he talks about. So he talks about dispositional optimism and how that is, like I was talking about, the gratitude changes how you see the world. That is such a big, big part of it. Negative people have a hard time succeeding. They do, because of the negativity, because they give off the bad vibes and all that. And the way to change that negative is to go with those gratitudes. And he talks about starting your day with 3 gratitudes every day. 3 gratitudes. So back to his list of things that he does. He sits to meditate. He does his breathing exercise. He starts with 3 gratitudes, 3 things he's grateful for, because that puts him back into that present mode, back into heart mode, back into love mode, right? And then every evening he lists 3 things that he wants to accomplish the next day.
Nice.
Okay, this is back to Hal Elrod's thing. He says 3 things that would make today great, but this guy does, at the end of the day, 3 things he wants to do tomorrow.
He's thinking about it while he's sleeping.
He's already thinking about it. And this comes back to an article I read a long time ago, and I don't have it. If I find it, I will post it. But it was the 7 things that the world's most successful people all have in common, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, that they all sit down at the end of the day and write down what they're going to do the next day. They already have stuff in their planner, on their agenda or whatever, but they make this list because it puts it into that
action.
Well, it puts it into that attention mode. Yes.
Yeah, action. To
what was
me,
the other thing?
it becomes action when it's attention.
Right. I was trying to think of the.
You can write it on your day planner all you want, but you've got to actually.
You've got to look at the day planner and
again
remember
or
it,
something.
and
Yeah.
yes. And the thing was, it was the shoot. I'm looking for the word that he used. Where did it go? The salience.
Oh, yeah.
Salience. So it has to go into salience. That's the writing it down.
Okay.
And then it becomes the attention. So
Okay.
I knew it was there somewhere. So so doing that, and then he talks about living in the present. Hello, Eckhart Tolle. Everybody's talking. You have to live in the present. You can't live in your past, But you have to understand your past.
Mm-hmm.
That is super important that you actually tackle that and
Because
understand.
you can't just ignore it.
No, well, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people just ignore it and say, "I'm not going to think about that." And he's talking about not dwelling in it, but you have to understand what it did to you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand how it changed the way you think.
Consider the source.
Right, right. And then you have to present yourself as authentic. You have to be your authentic self. You can't go around pretending to be something other than what you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you be your authentic self, you understand where you came from, and when you have an intention, you sit with the intention, you don't focus on the intention. That's important too.
Come again.
You sit with the intention. So you have that intention. You've repeated it. You repeat it daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sitting there dwelling on it all day.
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
putting it
not
in
wondering why it hasn't happened yet.
No, yeah, you're just, and you're not like just only spending your time trying to make that $1 million or whatever it is. You know, you put it in there, you let it get into that salient area, you let it get into the attention area, and then you let it become an executive function, right? And
that way it becomes automatic instead of striving.
yes,
Okay, got
and
it.
that's how it manifests, because it just happens, because you are already wired for it to happen, right? It's not magic. It's not woo-woo. It's just brain neurochemistry, right? And when you have an acceptance, he talks about when you sit in the present and you drop into that heart mode and you have acceptance of yourself as you are, and you have compassion for yourself. You understand why you do the things you do, why whatever happened. You have gratitude for your life and you love yourself. Then you can decide, you can make the conscious decision to believe what you want to believe. And he just talks about we all have the ability to improve our life, and we have the ability to improve life for one person. And he talks about turning around and using our purpose in life is connections to other people, right? So you want to be a teacher because you want to help students.
Mm-hmm.
Amber wanted to be a counselor because she wants to help people.
Yeah.
Or students. She wanted to be a teacher to help. I do this podcast because I want to help people. And those connections are what give us that purpose. And if we all live with the knowledge that we have the ability to improve the life of one person every single day, if you can improve the life of one person, then you are living a life of purpose. And all of those things that you are trying to manifest because you've retrained your brain, you're doing the right things, those things will happen. And I thought that was the interview talks about a lot of other things too, but and I'm sure his book goes into a lot more detail. But I was really fascinated by the neuroscience of how, because everybody talks about reframe. And I have often sat there with, like when we're doing one little word, they tell us to write down a list of negative things you've told yourself and reframe it. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to reframe that. I don't know what the opposite, how do I flip that script?
And I have a hard time capturing all of those negative things.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea of his method for doing that, of how this is how you figure out how to flip it, by when you have that feeling, because it might not be a word that you say to yourself. It might
Right.
just be a feeling. I don't feel good when I look at myself in the mirror. Why don't I feel good when I look at myself in the mirror? Oh, because my mother told me I was fat, or because my band director called us thunder thighs, or my dad called me bubble butt, or whatever, even though I only weighed 105 pounds, things like that. And then I realize I take those things and I realize that they didn't have a clue what they were talking about, but I know what that source of that hatred for myself is, right? And maybe I don't say to myself, "You're a fat slob," but I feel it, right? And so then when I know where that came from, I know how to change that script, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's how you reword it.
Yeah.
So,
I think reframing, like for my example, a really easy way to reframe it is to just always smile at myself in the mirror.
right,
So, and there's a lot of people that don't like looking in the mirror,
right.
and they don't like having mirrors,
Mhm.
and they avoid them. And I often wonder, is it because the person looking back at you is giving you a dirty look?
Right.
I would start there. That's probably what I would do, is just make sure every time I pass by my mirror that
You
I
smile
always
at
smile
yourself.
at it. Even if I don't look in it, at least
Tell
the person
yourself-
on the other side is smiling.
Say your affirmations in the mirror while you're looking
And that's
at
literally
yourself.
what people always say, and that's when people get cringy about it because they feel
'Cause
like
they don't
it's
wanna-
weird. They don't want
they
to
don't wanna
look
look at
themselves in
themselves.
the eye.
But
Yeah.
but if you think about it, I've heard this said many, many times. The things that you say to yourself, or the things you think about yourself, would you ever say that to another person?
Right.
Would
I
you
would never curl my lip at somebody like that.
and go, "You're ugly. I don't like the way you look." No. You would probably, I don't know about you, but I smile at people.
Right.
I smile at
I do
other
too.
people. So that's where that, smiling at yourself in the mirror. And, I have noticed that when I look in the mirror and I feel ugly, I look ugly. When I look in the mirror and I think to myself, I look good today. I look good. My
'Cause you took a
brain,
little, yeah.
I see myself totally differently.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. I don't know. I don't know which came first,
Mm-hmm.
but I look at, there have been times when I look at myself and I go, "Dang, I look pretty good today." And then there's
And it's
other,
like, where does that come from? Yeah,
Right.
it's the same. I look the same. I'm wearing the same clothes. My
but
hair is the exact
but to
same
me,
every day.
but to me,
Yeah.
I don't look the same.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
I don't look the same. I don't focus on the flaws. I don't notice the flaws. I just look at myself and go, "Wow, for a 61-year-old, I'm not too bad." But then there's other days when I look at myself and I go, "Oh my God, look at those bags under my eyes. Look at my," seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I look at myself and I'm seeing a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wiring in our brains that makes us almost not recognize ourselves.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I think I've covered everything there. I do, like I said, highly recommend everybody go listen. It's only like an hour long little interview on Mel Robbins, and I'm going to link it on the thing. And it was just a really fascinating listen. And the James Doty is a very emotional person. I almost started crying listening to him because he was almost started crying during parts of the interview. So it was just really, really good. But Amber, I believe that you are our hostess next week. What are we talking about next week?
Next week, we are talking about emergency prepping for emergencies.
Ooh.
I know everybody has had a PTSD situation in their past that causes them for emergency prep, and we're going to talk about different things along the lines with that and how we ourselves prep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
That'll be
excited.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate all of our listeners. We hope that you got something useful out of this recording today, this podcast, and that you will keep in touch with us. Go over to our MMC chat Facebook group, or leave us a message on the blog, or any of those things. You can email us at info@modernmusings.net, and have a good week. And we'll be back next week with Emergency Prep.
Bye.
Bye.